the way that I would look at it, how penicillin was introduced all those years ago into medicine. AI is that type of game-changing way of doing things. And
People said it's the internet again, right?
oh, absolutely, 100%. One of the Achilles heels within the industry at the moment is recruitment.
Yeah.
The advice would be, well, hold on, don't necessarily keep looking at recruitment. Let's step outside of that box and look at some of the other boxes. Firms that have really good technology built into their systems, their current staff are so much more satisfied. And so retention of staff is so important. So you're not having to worry about losing staff in that respect.
Hello, welcome to Ask the Expert. My name is Aaron Patrick. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the wonderful world of AI. We're also going to be deep diving into the world of recruitment and figuring out what your pain points are going to be as an accountant. Welcome, Rupinder, to what is Ask the Expert. So we're going to start straight away and we're going to find out exactly what your background is. So go for it. What's your background?
I am a sales manager here at QuickBooks. I've been working there for just over 5 years. And during that 5-year period at QuickBooks, I've had different roles. I've worked for the rest of the world team, but predominantly I've been a business development manager. So an account manager looking after accountants, a cohort of accountants in the Midlands. That's been my journey over the last 5 years. And I look after a team of 6 people in sales at the moment.
Excellent. So with that background then in the accounting space, what drew you to accountants? What was the reason? what pain points have you seen from us that you're like, I can fix that?
Great question. Well, do you know what? I wanted to be an accountant.
Really?
Years ago. I did my A-level accounting. And I, back then, 16, 17-year-olds, right, I'm going to be an accountant. Didn't quite pan out and work that way. But I still had that fascination and that interest in accountancy. So even though I went to university and I did something different, I went into marketing and business management and then pretty much more kind of national marketing management.
Yeah.
I still had an interest, something there. So when joining CCH, it was quite reassuring. It was quite, hey, look, this is something I know. This is something I'm pretty interested in. And I've been working in the industry for sort of almost 16 years now, and I love it. I just love every aspect of how accountants work, how they solve for problems and their clients' problems, and in turn create really great lives for themselves. And I really enjoy listening to stories of accountants and where they've come from and where they now are and where they're going to be going to.
Yeah, and I think that's very, very common in your role.
I've had different roles. I've worked for the rest of the world team, but predominantly I've been a business development manager. So an account manager looking after accountants, a cohort of accountants in the Midlands. That's been my journey over the last 5 years. And I look after a team of 6 people in sales at the moment.
Awesome. So I think when you look at all of the people that I've had a lot of BDMs in my time as a QuickBooks user and a QuickBooks partner, as we like to be called.
Sure.
And I think one of the things I'd say about all of the BDMs is they all have that empathy and passion, right? They can see that there's problems there. They can see that accountants have these issues, these pain points.
Yeah.
And you guys come along, and maybe it's not just QuickBooks, but you always come along with a opportunity to try and help that. Is that installed in you from day one, or is that just...
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the things about Intuit and QuickBooks, and this is what I love about working for the organization, is everyone's really aligned. Everyone's got a shared common goal and that passion. And it comes from deep.
Yeah.
Part of that is curiosity, but part of that is really trying to help and add value and provide support to someone on a very human level in that respect.
Yeah.
And I think for me, if I take you down my journey, for me, I'm really looking to understand, and really by understanding, I can then really start to see where there are maybe gaps, or where we think, or I think we can help, and what value that I think I can add. And for me, the satisfaction of providing that value and see it work is more than anything else. And it's just that for me is the big thing. And you're right, when you link it back to other colleagues and some of the other BDMs that you've had for so long, we've got those similar traits.
Yeah.
And it's a shared vision. So yeah.
And it seems like you didn't get that in other career opportunities. Is it kind of unique or?
Yes and no. I mean, I've worked for so many different companies. Working at Intuit QuickBooks, it is unique. There is a culture here. There is a absolute, I suppose, a pinnacle, and as an aspiration, certainly for the people that work here, but also for Intuit to do better. And it's not necessary to do better for ourselves. It's first and foremost, it's at the forefront to do better for our community, for our clients, for our who the people we serve in that respect. So yeah, you're right in that respect. It is different from what we see from what I've experienced, but also when you look across the market in the accountancy market, there are a few businesses and individuals out there that have got that common connection there, and you recognise that.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there are others where, yeah, it's not what we do here at Intuit QuickBooks. That's why we're different, and that's why we are who we are.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. I've seen the hunger from your associates. I've seen that going forward.
Yeah.
And speaking of hunger, I feel like at the moment, there's never been a better time to try and sell QuickBooks as a product, right?
Yeah.
With everything that's going on, with all the changes that are happening. But what's some of the biggest changes you've seen for the time you've been here?
Ooh, so from being QuickBooks being the core hub, and really the sort of almost taking it back down to basics of double entry bookkeeping, and really reinventing and looking at how we can actually speed things up and add value and use some of the tools such as machine learning to speed processes up and give insight, and add value to an accountant so they can in turn add value to their clients. Through to some of the most exciting ones over the last sort of 5 or so years was just improvements to bank rec. That was a massive one for us. Introduction to receipt capture.
Yeah.
And that keeps evolving and changing, to mileage tracking, through to reclassifying transactions. So I'm getting into the nitty gritty, some of these smaller details. VAT error check, in that respect as well. So some of these real unique elements. Oh, I've got to mention Performance Center as well.
Yeah.
The number of times I've been sat with some of my accountants and you introduce Performance Center and what it can do. And already you can see, for them, they're thinking about, well, that changes the conversation that I have with my clients.
Yeah.
What I show them instead of a spreadsheet of numbers is now visual graphs and things. Sorry, I'm probably going a bit too deep now, but
No.
but those are sort of the big bits of DNA that I now call it. These are part and parcel of QuickBooks now.
Yeah, it's delighting the customer, isn't it? It's all that.
Absolutely. And to a certain degree, I almost feel as though we need to remind ourselves, we've got a formidable product. It is a game-changing product should you really get your head around it and you utilize all the tools within it. Payroll's another one. I mean, where do we stop? It just keeps going on and on and on. But yeah, I mean, that's what I've been really interested and really sort of proud to see over the last 5 years.
Yeah, and I think as a user, we've seen that as well.
Yeah.
Because it's that whole idea where as accountants, there's a lot of competition out there as to which software to go with and everything else. And we decide we're going to put our flag into X or we're going to put our flag into Y. And I feel like what we gain from being with Intuit is just that constant innovation, isn't it? There's always something new out there. In fact, one of the things we get criticized more than anything is, I didn't know that was there.
Yeah.
I didn't know you already had that.
Oh, absolutely. Do you know, it's surprising in being a BDM and working with so many accountants from smaller ones all the way through to big strategic top 100 firms. It's surprising how many firms, and I don't blame them, because you're getting into your daily role. You're literally going to those certain areas of QuickBooks which serves a function for what you're doing for that day or for that particular client. You don't, and we're all busy people, so we don't always necessarily have that time or capacity to go and research or go and explore and see what's out there. So I think for me, that's part of the satisfaction of doing that job. When you do sit down with an accountant and say, hey, you realise you've got that, but before you even get that, tell me about how you currently do this. How does that work? And are you happy with it? Does that not work? And what are the pain points around that? And then actually saying, well, look, let me show you this. And in some cases, Aaron, actually seeing the delight in their face. They get a smile, they get a little glint, and they think, oh, wow. And you just see, and you can almost just imagine how that will change their world and how it will improve, not only them, but again, bringing that relationship between their client and themselves even closer.
Yeah, because we've been lucky enough to be at the roadshow, right? And
Yeah.
one of the favourite parts about any social networking event like that is actually speaking to users as well and having that conversation. And I'll always remember at the last roadshow, we were speaking about work papers and their eyes lit up and everything else. And thankfully, JB and Jonathan Valentine was in the room.
Yeah.
And I went, that's a guy to thank. They actually went up to him and gave him a hug. Like,
Oh, no
that
way.
much of a, that's going to change my workflow. That's going to help. That's what I've been looking for.
Yeah.
And it must be elements like that you get all the time, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and again, it's some of the basics sometimes. So again, I mean, one of the things that was eyebrow raising for me is, I'm really trying to convey the latest functionality and features within QuickBooks and how that can really help a lot of accountants. And by just having a conversation, so many would turn around and say, do you know what? The best thing I love about QuickBooks is reclassify transactions. And you sit back and think, wow, do you know what? Reclassify transactions, we take it as a given now, but it is a ridiculously powerful tool within QuickBooks. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There's so much within QuickBooks, so much functionality, and that ecosystem is so powerful now. So yeah.
And speaking of ecosystem, again, it's never been a better time for us to talk about it, right? What really excites you then about the latest announcements? We've got the practice management solution. We've got a payroll bureau. What's getting you most excited about it?
Well, I suppose even before we even get to that, to add some context, when you speak to good accountants like yourself, you're really understanding their world. So it's not just about the bookkeeping function, if we can call it that.
Yeah.
And invariably, by having that real open, honest conversation, they'll tell you about what's not working. And invariably, they'll say, well, my account production, I've got a real nitty gritty, issue with it and it's causing me pain and problem. Or it may be, data capture at the very beginning, or it may be reporting or something along the lines of that. So when answering your question and looking about the ecosystem, I'm sat there thinking of firms where they've told me their journey, their frustrations with certain processes with account production or other suppliers or software companies where it just doesn't work, or these companies don't listen.
Yeah.
And to then hear we've got ProTax, to then hear we've got working papers, we've got books review, we've got practice manager coming up, payroll bureau, as you quite rightly point out. And so we've now got this end-to-end solution. And I think the biggest thing for me is we've got this end-to-end solution. So going back to the fact that we've got QuickBooks as the more, as the hub, the heartbeat of everything. But that data coming in with receipt capture, then connecting it to ProTax. In between, you've got work papers right in the middle there. You've got books review, just to make sure everything's all tidied up and there's no adjustments and amendments before you publish a TB and it goes into ProTax. And then overriding all that, you've got practice manager, making sure things are so efficient and giving you that insight and helping that engagement with a client. And then you've got payroll bureau. So for me, there's not just one particular solution as such. I think what excites me is the fact that we've just got this groundbreaking, absolute machine that is designed to add so much value from the very beginning all the way through to the end, the end-to-end process, as we call it, and solving those problems, making things so much easier, to again, just connect that relationship, or make that relationship with an accountant and a client so much better. And I think about the days of when, or even, to the point where you speak to an accountant and they are just they're just a production house.
Yeah.
They don't speak to their accountant. And if you do ask them, in some cases, well, last time I spoke to a client was probably once a year when I want the information to do their tax return. And we're moving so fast away from those days, and tools such as AI is really making sure of that, giving real insight and speeding processes up, forcing accountants to a certain degree to actually have those conversations and get really, really deep into their clients' world. So yeah, sorry, I went a bit deep there, but there you go. I think the passion is there, the hunger is there.
We love deep, we love it. And I think for me, the way I kind of see it myself when I kind of look at what QuickBooks is and what the tool of it fundamentally comes down to is QuickBooks is that flashy tool that the client sees.
Yeah.
And like you just said, all these bits, work papers, practice management, all these are tools that we get given as accountants to help us actually deliver our services more efficiently. And the time saving's huge. I was profiling a job the other day. It should have taken, 18 hours if we did it the old way,
Yeah.
where it was going through a rival piece of software and we were putting it through a rival accountant's production software. But if I take that same client profile and I put it through all the efficiencies, we could be down to like 8 to 6 hours. And you take that time you save and you deliver it back to your client,
Yeah.
and everyone gets a better experience, right?
Oh, absolutely. Do you know, one of the stories that still rings true with me, real big firm in the Midlands that I used to look after, 5, 6 offices, and just understanding their journey of, well, how do you get your TB trial balance out of QuickBooks into your account production software? And I've got to be delicate because clearly everyone's different in that respect. But, you know, I sat there quite surprised and shocked when they explained, so we get a junior member of staff to print off the TB from QuickBooks, passes it over to a senior. The senior will then, with that paper, key it all back in to their account production software. And I sat there thinking, my gosh, this, you know, that time it's taken, just that one aspect, Aaron, just that one piece. Forget about all the other bits, you know, back rec, data capture, where time saving can be made there. Just that fundamental, it was mind blowing.
Yeah.
And I was just itching to, you know, there's a better way. There's a better way. And I think when you look at the industry, when you look at the market generally, we've got such a big breadth of accountants out there. And they're all on their journeys. And some are great accountants like yourself, where you're efficient from end to end. You've got absolutely the every process nailed down, and you could, with that time saving that you're referring to, you're in a really powerful position to strengthen those relationships, keep those clients, retain those clients, build those clients, add more service and value to those clients, help them better. For them to then shout from the rooftops, Aaron's done a brilliant job for me. Come and speak to my accountant, and he will do the same for you. Then you've got those accountants in the middle that, you know, are using tech to really help their lives, but are not really doing it efficiently and doing it really well. So that firm in the Midlands, I gave an example of.
Yeah.
Then you've got the others where where they are still using paper.
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheets. And it's a case of, well, look, we're now in a world, we're in a digital world, we're in an AI world. Society's moved on, time's moved on. COVID has made a big dent into why we're all moving on.
Agreed, yeah.
And so digital and AI in a social capacity has moved on so massively. We were talking about phones just off camera before, and things like that. And so it when we're doing that, and then you add in making tax digital, government plans and where they want to be going, data. And so when you start to think about that first cohort of accountants where they're still using manual paper, Excel spreadsheets, they're speaking to their client once a year type thing. Yeah, change is the one constant in life is change.
Yeah. And I think for me, the one product that's completely goes again, or gives an opportunity for those sort of accounts you've just profiled there, the ones that maybe are struggling to take that change, maybe are struggling to take the next step. I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think practice management is probably their first step into that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's going to be their opportunity to start thinking, okay, there's better ways to do things?
Oh, absolutely. I think you're right. You're touching upon it and you're alluding to it. You know, some of these firms, rightly or wrongly, it's about organisation.
Yeah, exactly.
And because they've got into this routine, this method of just working, and it's worked for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And, you know, in their world, why change?
Yeah.
And totally get that. Absolutely get that. But when clients are changing, when the world around them is changing, they need to change. And what's the first thing that they can change? It is just their organisation, their own kitchen, tidy it up, and make sure things are a little bit more organised. And that's exactly where practice manager comes in. And it really helps with that organisation, that workflow of who's doing what, how and when, and then that engagement with their clients as well, making life easy when it comes to communication with their clients.
Yeah.
And that probably is the very first part of their journey. And once they get that right, they can then start to have a look at other areas of their business and say, well, what else can I actually do to improve things?
Yeah, and you just start building from there, right?
100%.
You've seen this efficiency, you've been able to send these emails out quicker, clients are sending you records bit quicker than they've ever done before.
Yeah.
And it starts to build from there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I think Practice Manager is a good example of the now and the updates for now. You touched on it already. You talked about AI.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a buzzword at the moment, and there's definitely other software providers that are using it as a buzzword.
Yeah.
But I don't see that for Intuit. Do you? I feel like it seems that you guys are just throwing everything at it. Was it 700 patents, 1,000 staff?
Yeah.
Talk to me more. I for one, can't be more excited about AI.
Look, AI is formidable. It's game changing. It is almost the way that I would look at it, how penicillin was introduced all those years ago into medicine. AI is that type of game changing way of doing things.
And people said it's the internet again, right?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. AI, one of the reasons why, it's a bit of a buzzword at the moment for the others and not necessarily us is we've had AI experts for decades. We've been working on this. We sit in Silicon Valley. Our neighbors are other big, prestigious organizations, global, tech players, and we share across the board. So we're part of the fabric of what's going on with AI at the moment. And we're developing our own solutions to actually solve problems, make some of the tools that we've already got even more efficient, even more intuitive to provide insight and data back to accountants and bookkeepers. Again, all with a view to add more value and bring that relationship between themselves and their clients closer.
And I feel like as well, it's the power of it is because of the ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
Where before as accountants, we were just trying to find the most, the best in class of all the different types.
Yeah.
Now, if we can try and hone it all on one ecosystem, we're gonna get more out of AI overall, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you start to think about the fact that data's coming in from their clients into an accounting firm, it's no dissimilar from actually seeing that data coming into the software, to being processed, to actually being manipulated, to actually get it efficient and right and accurate, and then making sure the client is part of that journey, to actually getting it back out again. That whole ecosystem within QuickBooks and Intuit, ProTax, data receipt capture, QuickBooks, when you're talking about bank reconciliation, work papers, performance center for reporting, VAT error checker, books review, reclassifying transactions tool. There's just an array of solutions within QuickBooks to go from end to end.
The fact you're building your own and not just taking another language model and just plonking it in and hope for the best. We've got security there, haven't we? And we've got more opportunities to what we can do with it. So I think there is a huge excitement for what that can bring. And I think at the moment, as accountants, our biggest point of reference and thinking about the future of what AI can bring is, who do we trust and who should we be putting our flag into? Because I think the only way we're going to get the most out of AI going forward is that ecosystem.
Yeah.
And Intuit QuickBooks are quietly building that ecosystem for us that all that AI can go on. And as accountants, we're going to have to make a decision at some point. Instead of let's keep getting the best in class of this and the best in class of that, we're going to have to go, well, this can do pretty much everything it needs to do.
Yeah.
But we've got all that AI goodness to go with it. And we're going to have to start making those decisions, aren't we? So
Yeah.
I think that's where these roadshows and everything are really important, aren't they, to go to?
Yeah, it's really, do you know what, one thing that I was thinking about as you were talking there and explaining all that is, again, Intuit's journey with AI in particular. And I think it's well worth actually reminding everyone, including all our customers, about the fact that we are a Silicon Valley blue chip organization. Our headquarters is in Mountain View, and at that top level, we actually have a real good network, and we share content. So with these global organizations, we're part of that journey. We're part of that conversation that's going on, and we're implementing what we learn across our network, across our neighbors and where we are, and we're implementing it within the product and within our service to actually help and solve problems. So, this is, again, you're absolutely right. The AI is going to be huge, and this isn't something that, we're bolting onto or using what somebody else is doing. We're actually learning from peers. We're learning from other subject matter experts, using our own kind of development that we've been doing for years, decades, to create our own. And as you said, all those patents is a bit scary to hear about, how much we've got going on. But yeah, I mean, we're it's so encouraging to hear all that. It's so satisfying to see all that, mainly because I know that we as a business, we're on a journey to actually do better, not just now, but for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years for our community.
And it is so exciting, isn't it? Okay, so what would be your advice for a newly qualified accountant trying to get into the industry? Because you've been there in terms of you've seen people throughout your whole career, right? And you must
Yeah.
have seen some superstars moving their way up. What have you seen in the past that you've gone, that guy's going to make it? And what tips can you give?
Yeah, well, I love that. Do you know, I think tech is such an important part of any accountant now, but especially new and fresh accountants that are coming into the industry. So we're actually making it, again, the fabric end part of what they're doing, rather than, well, here's a process and how can tech help me? Well, we all wake up in the morning and we all, use our mobile phones, and we use tech in our everyday life. And there isn't any kind of difference from how an accountant should be doing that. But more importantly, bringing their client along that journey as well, engaging their client on that tech as well. And all of a sudden you're in this bubble where, tech is not necessarily a separate element. It's part of your communication, your real relationship between yourself and your client. So I think that's the one big key thing that I would say. Really embrace yourself around the tech available.
What frustrations are you hearing about from accountants at the moment? What are they screaming out to you? What are their pain points?
I think one of the Achilles heels. We were at the Reading Roadshow together, Aaron, last week, and I raised it then. One of the Achilles heels within the industry at the moment is recruitment.
Yeah.
And so when you look at recruitment as a real good example, a lot of firms are trying to I can't find the right fit person or caliber or cultural fit, or just generally struggling to recruit in some cases, finding anybody for it. So I think for me, the advice would be, well, hold on, don't necessarily keep looking at recruitment. Let's step outside of that box and look at some of the other boxes. What else is going on that can actually help solve that problem? What is that problem? Well, you need a headcount, and that headcount is to do a certain job and a certain purpose. And I get all of that, but hold on. Are there certain areas whereby who you're recruiting could be someone different to the business, because you've now got this technology here which can actually save so much time, really help deliver that efficiency, which means that all of a sudden, with that time saved, the business can actually look forward rather than looking right here and now and trying to get that headcount to solve that here and now. They can actually get that headcount to say, right, I'm going to be one step ahead of the game. And, well, what does that need to be? Is that in this new digital social media kind of world? Well, I want to recruit someone to really promote the firm, as you have in that respect, and putting all your energy and efforts there, and what kind of return on investment you're going to gain from that. And that is all underpinned by having that technology, that software there, that machine learning, that AI technology, where it's saving, it's efficiency, it's saving so much time. It's taking away some of those burdensome, really nitty gritty chores that, previously were done manually in that respect.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think for me, recruitment is the first thing. Have a think about who you're recruiting, and think twice about, well, do you really need that particular role? It could be a totally different role. Growth is so important when clients are changing and clients are actually looking for everyone, where it's a plumber, builder, accountant, online, website, social media, and that type of thing. Well, maybe you want to be putting some of those eggs in that basket, and recruiting people in that world, the younger generation.
Yeah. I think that's what every accountant's shouting out at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And is it fair to say that there's tools that QuickBooks have got that are going to help us in terms of recruitment, and at least help us make it so our team members feel like they're more than just data entry?
Oh yeah, I mean, 100%. We got machine learning, AI, and it's worth actually pointing out there was a study done recently which actually showed that firms that have really good technology built into their systems, their current staff are so much more satisfied, and so retention of staff is so important. So you're not having to worry about losing staff in that respect. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Actually, sort of talking about what solutions QuickBooks have got within it to actually take away some of the nitty gritty elements around what accountants or bookkeepers are doing, allowing those accountants or bookkeepers to spend more time in more the meaningful, more powerful elements of their role, which is to serve their clients and to work with their clients to solve their problems. And for those accountants and bookkeepers, that actually in turn grow.
Yeah, and I think giving those employees the tools so they can go out there and actually talk to clients and actually start empowering them and everything else, actually is twofold, because it also gives us as employers the opportunity to go, actually, that's a superstar.
Yeah.
We can see that straight away. Whereas before, when they were just doing data entry, it was difficult to see where they might fit in the firm and everything else. So
Yeah.
it feels like with the right tool, we've got a better opportunity to even find the best staff, right?
Oh, you know what? I've just realised you're absolutely right. For that junior staff member to sat behind a keyboard doing data entry, you're not seeing any of that skill set.
Exactly.
They're locked away in a room in that respect. By actually replacing some of that, allowing that staff member to come out and challenge them and get them to grow in the role. You know, you can almost imagine accountants and bookkeepers, owners of firms, can start to delegate more of that work down and see that staff member grow and add more value to the firm. Really powerful point, yeah.
And it certainly worked for me. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So to close us out, where can people find information to find out how to level up their practice?
Well, look, you know, QuickBooks is a big brand player. So for those out there that are already QuickBooks users, go and reach out to your account manager. If you go to your QuickBooks products, it's, you know, you'll easily find your account manager through there and their contact details. But otherwise, come and approach us. And I think one of the most powerful things that I really love is come and visit us. We're doing roadshows across the UK. Come and spend a bit of time, not just about QuickBooks, but also networking against other accountants to see what they're doing, to learn, to help improve your own firm. And then actually see what QuickBooks is actually doing to actually solve some of those problems. Speak to all of our team that are there on one of those roadshows and get immersed in the QuickBooks world. And we will show you what's going on, not just for now, but for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Love it. And I've been lucky enough to go to every roadshow, and I've not come away without finding something new, either from QuickBooks or from the rest of the people there. So yeah, couldn't agree more. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rupinder. That's been absolutely brilliant. Loved every moment of it, and we're going to have to make sure we get you on the mic again.
Oh, thanks for having me. Enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to it again.
And there we have it, a great episode of Ask the Expert. If you've enjoyed this content, don't forget to make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel and all the other social channels we have. And don't forget as well that we're going to have more episodes like this coming your way. And also, if you want to find out anything else about what we've done today, then use the links below to find out everything you need to know. Thanks for watching.